Let's start with a hard truth. You don't actually choose the best product. Nope. You choose the product that makes the most sense to you. And that little difference, well, it's everything. It all comes down to one powerful idea: positioning.
You really have to let this sink in. This quote from Al Ries and Jack Trout is the key to all of this. Positioning isn't about the physical thing you make, it's about psychology. It's a battle for a tiny piece of real estate inside your customer's mind. So here's what we're going to cover today. We'll kick things off with what brand positioning actually is. Then we'll peek inside the customer's head to see how they really make choices. After that, we'll run our position through a tough little reality check, talk about why saying no is a superpower, and finally look at how the best brands win by just being different. All right, let's get right into it. Part 1. What in the world are we even talking about when we say brand positioning? Okay, think of it this way. Your customer's brain is a super crowded place, right? Brand positioning is the art and science of carving out one specific, memorable spot in that brain for your brand. It's about owning an idea, so when a certain problem comes up, your brand is the first thing that pops into their head.
And this is so important to get right. We are not talking about a long list of features or technical specs. It's all about perceived value. What problem do you solve? And, more importantly, how well does the customer believe you solve it? That belief, right there, is what drives the final decision.
So, if we're fighting for a spot in someone's mind, we'd better understand how that mind works, right? How do people actually decide what to buy when they're faced with a million choices? I mean, just picture yourself walking down a store aisle. There are dozens of options for literally everything. It is just overwhelming. You can't possibly sit there and research every single one. So what do? You simplify. We all do. We take mental shortcuts. And those shortcuts, they pretty much boil down to these 3 questions that our brains ask in a split second. First, what is this thing? What box do I put it in? Then, okay, how is it different from all the other stuff in that box? And finally, the most important one, so what? Why should I care? Why is this the one for me? If your positioning doesn't answer all 3 of those, instantly, you're invisible.
Let's break that down a bit more. The frame of reference. That's the first question. It's the category, the context. It tells the customer what game you're playing. Then you have the point of difference. This is how you win that game. It's your secret sauce, the reason they should pick you and not the other guy.
Now, when it comes to being different, there are really 2 ways you can go. Vertical positioning is the classic more than game. We're better, we're faster, we're cheaper. You're trying to win on a metric everyone agrees on. But horizontal positioning, that's different. That's where you change the game entirely. You introduce something new, something unique, that makes you the only one who does what you do.
And here's the thing, most brands are just stuck in this endless vertical battle, this arms race of we have more features. But the truly legendary brands, they often win by playing a completely different game. They don't just compete in the category, they reshape it.
Okay, so you have this great idea for a position. That's awesome. But will it actually work? Is it built to last out there in the real world? Well, that's where this simple but powerful reality check comes in handy. The most powerful, most durable positioning lives right here, in the sweet spot where 3 circles overlap: your consumer, your competition, and your company. You need all 3 to be in perfect harmony. If even one of them is off, the whole strategy is going to crumble. Let's look at each one. First up, the consumer test. You have to ask honestly, does your position actually matter to them? Are you solving a real nagging problem they have? Do they genuinely care about what makes you different? If the answer is no, then your brilliant position is basically built on nothing.
Next, you've got to size up the competition. Is your claim to fame truly different, or could your biggest competitor just slap the same slogan on their ads tomorrow? A great position has to be something you can own and defend. It needs to be your turf.
And finally, maybe the hardest test of all, you have to look in the mirror, the company test. Can you, as a business, actually deliver on this promise? Consistently? Day in and day out? Because your positioning isn't just a marketing line, it's a promise. And if you can't keep it, you're toast. Now, this next bit is probably one of the most critical and honestly one of the hardest parts of strategy. It's all about focus. And it comes down to a really counterintuitive idea. Your strength comes from what you're willing to give up. So with everything we've talked about, what do you think is the single biggest, most common mistake that brands make when it comes to their positioning?
It's this. They try to be everything to everybody. They just keep adding more features, more benefits, targeting more audiences.
And you know what happens? The message becomes a cluttered mess. Nothing sticks. Because when you try to stand for everything, you end up standing for nothing at all.
This is such a brilliant example of doing the exact opposite. Just look at the clarity here. Does it talk about the 5-star chefs or the artisanal ingredients? Nope. Does it mention their amazing app interface? Nope. It's 2 words. Food, fast. That's it. It's so powerful precisely because of all the things it chooses not to say. That is pure unapologetic focus.
Okay, let's pull all these threads together. How do you actually use all this stuff to win in the marketplace?
Well, a great way to figure out how to win is to look at all the ways people lose. Positioning falls apart when you sound just like everybody else. That's a failure of the competition test. It fails when you obsess over features nobody wants. That's a consumer test fail. It collapses when you make promises you can't keep, a total company fail. And it dies when you try to be so many things that you lose your identity.
And that brings us to the ultimate takeaway here. Winning isn't about having the longest feature list. It's not about being better on every single dimension. The brands that win are the ones that are so crystal clear, so easy to understand that they become irreplaceable in our minds. They're the automatic answer to a specific need. The only question left is, what need will you be the answer for?